1 ton of wheat is about 1,280 liters. I decided to test whether it's possible to harvest 1,000,000 tons in just 100 farming simulator days. I conducted the test on a map 4 fields. As the name suggests, it has 4 huge fields. I started the game in the new farmer mode and immediately decided to sell most of the buildings we have at the start, and in their place build a huge hall to see what such a huge amount of grain looks like. And how will I count it? We'll simply count the trailers. 2 tractors will definitely be enough for us, 1 large and 1 medium-sized, and since the class drives 10 kilometers less, we decided to sell it. Apart from the class, I also decided to sell off the remaining machines that wouldn't be useful for me in this challenge, and the extra cash later helped me a lot. And the second trailer just flies into the warehouse. To save time driving across the entire field, I set up the combines next to each other, leaving a gap of 3 header lengths. And the first truck flies into the middle. The trailer you saw earlier, I bought it because at the start we have a truck and a trailer that I wanted to sell to save some money, but I came to the conclusion that the truck is faster, so I sold the trailer before I could even sell the truck. But that wasn't a good idea. We have a big problem with this truck. I still can't keep up. I can't manage to pick up from these combines. I collected a few more trailers and the day ended very quickly. And to make this challenge not so easy, I played with seasonal growth enabled, so what had to happen happened. Right now, literally at this moment, literally everything dried up on me. I managed to harvest most of the field, especially since the wheat, which was sown at the beginning, wasn't fertilized, so it wasn't a big loss for me. Neighbors are looking out their windows and probably thinking, the neighbor is driving such a monster and they're just riding bikes. I managed to snatch up that New Holland and the combine you saw earlier on sale. Additionally, thanks to selling off buildings and machines earlier, I could buy a seeder, which used to be a Big Bud add-on but is now available on ModHub. I also bought another seeder to quickly and efficiently sow the field. And the last truck is in the warehouse, so that's how we end this season with this balance. Fertilizing the field almost wiped out my account, but since I played on the new farmer mode, I could still recover quite a bit. All the workers are in the field, and in the meantime, we're heading to pick up the first container. So as we can see, it hasn't even gone through the entire field, and it's already full. I decided to rent this little equipment for a few $100. The first trailer is landing in the warehouse. It went quickly, and of course I had to come here, so I'll stop keeping up with picking up now, but I think I'll manage somehow. Somewhere between picking up the grain, I managed to finally bring the bulldozer here, and I hope it will work reasonably well. Some of it has been cleared up here, so I think now, oh, we're beautifully reaching the very end. Thanks to being able to manage a bit more, I decided to change tactics, build a silo, rent a trailer for the harvest time, and use the mod auto drive so that workers pick up the harvest from the combines. Additionally, I swapped the headers in the combines for larger ones because picking up on 2 trailers should go smoothly. Honestly, I was afraid that if there were 2 workers picking up, it would mess up. But as you can see here, one picks up while the other driver rushes to the other combine. Workers are slowly finishing mowing this field, and during this time, I must admit that instead of supervising them, I cooked a delicious soup. The entire warehouse has just been filled, which means 800,000 liters. And I think now we can transfer some to our hole because we're slowly finishing the harvest. And now, when it comes to unloading, we just pull up like this. We open the hatch and unload without unnecessary complications. Here, one worker is already finishing this part and they got stuck, of course, because they missed each other, and there are actually 2 passages left there because I forgot about that part due to moving the harvesters. And bam! We'll also beautifully unload another trailer here right away, just a little unevenly, but maybe I'll manage to drive in somehow. I just overtook a worker here and I'm the first to approach. Oh, now he's reversing. I think he understood that I overtook him and he's reversing. He even started the hazard lights, he started them and is driving off. And the last passage, actually this is the last piece on this huge field. There. 2 harvesters and 2 drivers with trailers are already resting. Field fertilized twice yielded just under 1,100,000 liters, which doesn't even translate to 1,000 tons. So playing this way with seasonal growth, I wouldn't even reach 10% of the target in 100 days. So I decided to check how the situation would look with unlimited cash, excluding seasonal growth and using mods that make many players dizzy. This seeder doesn't look like it exists in reality, but correct me if I'm wrong. Driving it here and setting it setup to sow at full span might be a bit difficult. Besides the machines, I've also decided to invest in all fields and not to spare by setting up a few extra silos. Of course, all fields need to be connected, and that's the plow. Don't ask, I doubt something like this exists in reality. Fields connected, so it's time to release a few tractors to sow it as quickly as possible. And the 8th player is joining the sowing, because even though these seeders are huge, this field is so large that it takes a bit of time to sow here, although it's going quite fast, but you can never have too much. After all, we have no limit. The sowing went very smoothly, but it couldn't go without any fails. So trying to do everything as quickly as possible, I accidentally sped up time too much, so I didn't fertilize the field for the second time. As for the harvesters, of course, we're also changing them. This header may seem a bit strange, a bit just strange, but attention, you can just unfold it. So the header is a bit larger. I've also increased the size of the tank, so now we have 17% with 17,000 liters in the tank, so we have a tank with a capacity of 100,000 liters. Although the auto drive route is set at the other end of this field, it still works beautifully. It approaches the harvester, only now the question is, how will it work with this huge header? Will it approach now, or will it somehow pass through this header? Or what will it come up with? Okay, so the header simply doesn't have collision and it approaches without any problem. Good. So now another thing, I need to adjust the size of this trailer. And here comes at the end, or rather at the very beginning of the field, another harvester. Of course, we're sowing here right away so as not to waste time. 3 harvesters, however, turned out to be a bit too few, so here comes the 4th, of course. The longest part of these harvests is unloading from the harvester to the trailer, because I can't find in the file the change of unloading speed from the tank, but I'll keep trying in a moment. Here comes another harvester, the 5th one on the field, because the workers keep stopping and need to be moved, and here it only passed once, and now I don't know where to place the seeder, whether here, here, or here. Here comes another worker with a seeder right away, and this part of the field will be sown in a moment because it's almost completely harvested. As you can see, there is one last pass left here. One is sowing here, another here, and we'll have 1/4 of the field sown again. So the work is going very smoothly for now. The work is going on, and there's even a queue forming at the silo, so the guys are doing well. I managed to gather 3,300,000 liters very efficiently, so I had to set up more silos. Here, there's literally just a piece of grain left to harvest. Only what you can see here, the rest remains to be sown, so I think the harvest will stop for a while if it continues like this because we still need to spread fertilizer. Here we're letting in another worker to make this pass, and our field will look like this. Here we'll have sowing on both sides, here harvesting is still ongoing. Fertilizer, harvesters fly in here, seeders here, and work is continuously flowing without interruption. We have harvesting, and that's the priority at the moment. We're setting up workers right away to start fertilizing here as soon as possible, not to waste time. So we're setting this up here. I already have another one set up there. You won't believe it, but it's exactly the same situation as the first time. I don't know why the growth phase was skipped. I accelerated one day and it was like it didn't grow at all. I accelerated the second day and suddenly it's ready for harvest. The worker passed through this piece you see here, and suddenly, I don't know if he reversed or what he did, I have no idea, so strange things are starting to happen. And something just happened that I didn't want, but it turned out funny. When it has 100,000 liters in it, it really works realistically because it barely moves. I haven't shown this before, but these harvesters can mow, or rather, with this header, you can mow at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour. This is not the maximum speed of the harvester, interestingly enough. Alright, we got it. This time it worked, so we'll have a fully fertilized field for the first time. So we're driving in here with 2 tractors and we have a lot of fields sown. So here we can now spread fertilizer for a while. As we can see, there are queues forming at the silo all the time. The guys are doing great, so nobody's sleeping here. The harvest is in full swing, well, maybe except for the harvesters that I have to keep moving all the time. Nobody's sleeping. Alright, we'll slow this down right away so it doesn't accidentally drive into the sown field. We'll release it beautifully sideways here, and the work is just like in Farming Simulator 11, everything at once and a different season on each field. I have 10 workers and I can't hire more? Oh well, it's just average. Not enough fertilizer has been spread here because, well, I had to speed up time because our field on the right ran out for mowing, and of course the harvest can't stop. What's happening here at all? This header got stuck. Is the mud really that deep here? Using the maximum number of workers plus additional auto drive drivers, I calculated that I was harvesting 3,336 tons every real hour. So I would gather 1 million in less than 300 hours of continuous management of workers. Write in the comments if you have any ideas on how to do this faster.